Welcome in to another episode of the Barn Baseball Show. Lindsay Crosby, Brad Law. We're going to talk about Auburn's 4-1 loss to Coastal Carolina that ends Auburn's season. And Brad, just like yesterday, I feel like the big story in this one is missed opportunities. Auburn had guys on base, especially early. They end up stranding 11 in the game, and just it felt like they could never really get that big hit that they're known for that kind of breaks in an open, gets a crooked number on the board.
No, you're right, and they got 24 pitches out of Jacob Morrison, the undefeated starter, the 11-game winner for Coastal Carolina in the first inning. But in the first half of this ball game, the hits came with 2 outs. They couldn't get that leadoff hitter on base. The far too simple way to describe this game is to say Auburn couldn't get the leadoff man on base, and Coastal Carolina did, I think, 6 times in the ball game.
Yeah, 6.
In a row, 6 innings in a row. And finally, that 5th time in a row they did was in the 7th inning when they broke through, and they were finally able to score some runs. So in a matchup of 2 elite teams deserving to be in super regionals, both of them, little things here and there make the difference, and that was the case again today.
And one of the big things for me on the offense of Coastal was it felt like 2-strike hitting. They just did a very good job. Some of it, I felt like Auburn was a little bit maybe too much in the middle of the zone with 2 strikes, but Coastal definitely took advantage of those opportunities and really did not miss those pitches. And it kind of felt like at the end of the day, that ended up being the difference. Auburn had hittable pitches and a lot of singles, not a ton of extra base hits, obviously didn't get the home run, and Coastal was able to get those bigger hits, get those timely hits, and capitalize on the opportunities because both teams had plenty of opportunities, but Coastal finally did it.
Well, we talked coming in, the strength of this game for both teams, or the strength of the matchup was Coastal's pitching and Auburn's hitting. And the advantage went to Coastal for the series on that. They were able to get to 2 strikes and keep Auburn's hitters off balance for the most part. Andres Alvarez didn't give up a ton today. He went 4 scoreless today. First hit that he gave up, though, with 2 strikes. He left it up, didn't get it where he wanted it to get it. Just again, you come back to it. Little things when you have 2 teams that are as evenly matched as these, including pitch location for half a dozen pitches, can be the difference in a ball game.
And one of the big things here that I noticed: 19 hits in this game, exactly 2 for extra bases. Both of them were Coastals. It's the kind of like Brad's been saying, it's the little tiny things here and there that can be a difference in the ball game. It's just they had 2 extra base hits, Auburn had none.
And when did the 2 extra base hits come? To lead off innings from the same batter.
So a guy in scoring position versus just a guy on first base.
2 batters later, they scored. Same guy drove in both runs. So it was the same script, 2 innings apart, where they lead off with the extra base hit. And I think about an at bat where Auburn did score its only run of the day.
Second inning,
That was Freilich, who hit it down the right field line, and instead of the ball rolling into the corner for extra bases, it just dropped like a pitching wedge in right field. Hustle score on the play by Snow, but
who was on first.
So with 2 outs, he scores on the play. Great hustle play. But that's a play that, 90 out of 95 times, it's going to roll into the corner and you're going to get 2 bases out of it.
95? Well, people would say 95 out of 100 or something.
I know, but it's a lot of baseball over the last
we're all sleep deprived.
24
folks.
innings here.
Yeah,
24 hours.
We're
not innings.
We're all sleep deprived here. Something we pointed out in the post-game show last night was the lefties. The Coastal really struggled to hit the lefties. Auburn went to Cade Fisher for that 5th inning, 2 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, only 1 of them earned. We've had this conversation before on the show. If it's error on your pitcher, it probably should count as a error and run on the pitcher. This one was a bunt attempt. Here's the bunt conversation again because Auburn didn't do it last night. But off of Cooper McMurray's glove, scores some runs, part of that bigger inning. They did a really good job of making that adjustment and saying, hey, we really struggled against these lefties yesterday. We're going to turn around. We're going to figure out how to get it done. And they got it done against Cade Fisher, who's been fantastic in relief since he moved to the bullpen.
No, I thought the highlight of the day for Cade was getting out of a bases loaded, nobody out jam. That was one of the huge moments in the game. Auburn couldn't capitalize on it offensively at the time, but a huge moment. But with that said, the first 2 batters he faced, hit and bunt single. So not tattooed, but still, first two batters, after struggling against lefties in last night's game, they're able to get on base and put that pressure on him. And they put pressure on him again the next inning, and he stranded two more. But again, those leadoff guys getting on base, putting pressure on Fisher, extended his outing, didn't allow him to get deeper into the ballgame.
They ended up having to pull him. They go to Cam Tilley, 4-pitch walk. Auburn immediately makes a change to Parker Carlson. That's something some of the criticism we've seen of this Auburn team at times has been waiting one batter too long to make a pitching change. This felt like, given the stakes, given where you were in the game, you had to go ahead and make that move aggressively. Tilley had 4 pitches, 1 at-bat. Go to the next guy. Parker Carlson comes in, gets an out, but does give up a hit and a run.
Yeah, and then it was John Armstrong after. Like he just threw a handful of pitches. So, the stakes being what they are, you don't give guys as long a leash as you normally do. And it's bittersweet to see Carlson and Armstrong, guys who have pitched so many games for this program over the last 4 years, pitch for the last time here at Plainsman Park. Just couldn't hold Coastal Carolina where you needed to hold them. And even when you did, just couldn't get that big hit offensively and string together at bats late.
And for the offense, we saw, again, Auburn had, I think, 8 hits in this one. They drew 4 walks, struck out 11 times. But it felt like Auburn's hitters, I touched on this a minute ago, we're just really struggling to capitalize on hittable pitches. Yeah. This Coastal staff as a whole, Morrison was really good. But on the whole, they give you pitches to hit. It's very similar to Auburn's staff. It's not amazing stuff. They give you pitches to hit. Auburn just couldn't quite do it. And I think the hardest one for me to look at on the box score here was Cooper McMurray going 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. Given where he is in the order, it felt like there were a few times you were really kind of hoping to get in there. And it just, like, he would swing and just barely foul one off, just barely miss. And that's probably, if you could go back and change anything about the game, it's maybe some of those at-bats Cooper had.
No question. And offensively as a whole, Auburn struck out to end 6 innings in this game. Out number 3 was a strikeout 6 times. And because so many hits came with 2 outs, you're leaving guys on base. You're striking out with guys on base. Credit Coastal's pitching for that. They have an excellent staff, not just the starters, but the relievers too. I thought Potok was the key to the game last night, and then Johnson comes in and was such a huge factor in striking out guys in today's ball game. But it stings to strike out that many out threes in one game.
Yeah, and it's just it almost feels like, and I know this is not a popular thing to say. It feels like if you replay this game 100 times, it's a little bit closer. Auburn does win some of them. If you replay it 95 times, maybe 90 of them go one way. But it's just, it was very, very close here. It was 2 evenly matched teams. Yeah. And the breaks deservedly went one way, Coastal's way, and Auburn wasn't quite getting the breaks.
I'm glad you make that point, because I think you make your own breaks a lot of times. Yeah. And in the plays that, I think this series was less about Auburn not executing and, not about Auburn seeing opportunities slide by to make plays. Right. But more about Coastal Carolina making the plays. Yes. Their catcher is a Buster Posey Award finalist for a reason. He's excellent.
Threw out multiple guys this weekend.
The second baseman, Barthol, made huge plays to end the game last night, was really smart. He made a play on a force at second base that most players wouldn't even have attempted, and would have just taken the sure out at first, and they wind up keeping Auburn off the scoreboard that inning. They made more. They were a little more aggressive and made more of the plays that were to be made. Look, we respected Coastal Carolina coming into this weekend. We picked Auburn to win the Super Regional, and think the opportunities were there to do it. We didn't doubt Coastal. With that said, I think we come away even more convinced that this team earned its number 8 RPI. Number 8 RPI means you ought to be one of the final 8 teams in America, and they will be.
Yeah, and fundamentally, I don't think Auburn's played a more fundamentally sound team all year than Coastal. So all of the credit to Coastal Carolina. We're not in any way trying to diminish that. They played fantastically. They deserve to win the series, and it's just a little bit hard to accept maybe from this side that Auburn had opportunities. Coastal had a couple more, and Coastal executed on theirs a little better than Auburn did. So we're going to be back. There's probably another episode coming this week. Me, Sonny, Brad, we're going to break down the season that was, what happens now, who's coming, who's going, our favorite moments and things like that. So it's not the end of the Barn Baseball Show. but it's the end of today's episode of the Barn Baseball Show, and it's the end of the Auburn baseball season. Any final thoughts about the weekend that was in Plainsman Park, Brad?
We will talk about it more in those episodes that you just teased. But this season, this team, and this weekend was a good example. The program has been moved forward.
Yeah,
you didn't have to win this to move the program forward. Everything we experienced in this ballpark this weekend and throughout the year is all the evidence you need. Programs move forward. We got to talk about this program as one of the top 10 elite programs in the country because of numerous things that happened this weekend and beyond.
Yeah. For Brad Law, I'm Lindsay Crosby. This has been the Barn Baseball Show.